Good stuff.
I'm sure Xander would be thrilled. Yeah.
Mr. Rudy Poo, we're gonna get into that too. We're gonna dive into that too.
Who's it?
CJ.
CJGJ.
Everybody wants CJ.
All right, so yeah, why don't we start? The franchise / transition tag deadline is 4 p.m. So I'm not going to give you a countdown, Derek. I'll spare you, but we are.
No. Oh, time out. I want to hear the countdown.
I'll give it to you. 3 hours, 54 minutes, and about 30 seconds.
There you go. Okay. All right. That's the Rob Ellis I know. All right.
That is just all right. So we're close, but a couple things we're hearing. Number one, Jeff McClain, Philadelphia Inquirer, Eagles beat reporter, who we've had on the show many times, is reporting that they will not. Again, this isn't official, but this is what Jeff's reporting, and I trust his reporting. He says they will not tag anybody. Which anybody, I think you guys tell me if I'm missing somebody here, but CJGJ, Hargrave were the most likely, maybe Bradbury. You know, I didn't think that was happening considering what corners make. But he doesn't think they're going to tag anybody, which would very much be in step with what the Eagles have done lately. They don't like doing that. It's not something they want to do. Now, you keep in mind, you can use it almost as a protection for yourself. You could tag somebody and negotiate with them. So you can do that. But it looks like the Eagles may not be doing. That's funny. John, I agree with John.
I saw that.
I like that one. Yeah, that'll happen, John. I think so. Suppose. But no, so not surprising, really, guys, which means I think they're pretty likely to be walking out the door. Bradbury, Hargrave, and CJGJ, if that's the case.
Well, as I told you guys before, and I'll say it again, it is a priority to keep CJ here, but it takes two to tango. Now that you have all these changes on defense, who's to say CJ wants to stay here now?
Right.
With the uncertainty of
right
our defense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's no guarantee. It takes two to tango in this situation. And, and I agree with you. We got to do, people are saying, there's no way they let CJ walk out their door. There's no way. You know what? There is a way. There is a way CJ walks out that door. There is a way CJ doesn't return here. If I'm his representation, what if he doesn't know a lot about this side? What if he's talked to his boys and some of the things that come back are more negative than positive about the side? That's a business decision he has to make. So as much as we want to see him stay here, you know what I'm saying? And Barrett, 1,700 players, that's a small fraternity. Everybody knows everybody in the NFL.
And best believe they're talking to each other too.
You better believe it. So it's not guaranteed. I mean, the prospects are favorable that he stays here, but there's no guarantee CJ's walking back through that door. You could have, like Barrett jokingly said a couple of weeks ago, these could be your corners, these could be your safety. People are like, oh, no way. Oh, yes, there is a way. Yeah, there is a good way that could happen.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
When you think about how things have gone and the amount of playing time a lot of these guys had, it's absolutely a way in which that happens. Absolutely. I don't know if we're going to get into this segment right now, but we're going to talk about it right now. But think about this. Avonte Maddox playing CJGJ's position. They're both interchangeable. I can remember back when they brought CJGJ in, and I was saying that, all right, they'll probably move Avonte to safety and put CJ at slot corner, which made a hell of a lot of sense to me. But it just so happens he came out and had an unbelievable season. Unbelievable season. So I can see them making that transition and pushing Avonte Maddox to that safety position. And then have one of the young guys like Josiah Scott. I hate to say it, but yes, like a Josiah Scott, maybe a Josh Jobe, somebody like that coming in, or they draft somebody to come in and play that slot corner or the wide corner.
Oh, they don't want to hear that, Barrett. Don't say that.
But
they don't want to hear it.
So two things. That's what I was going to follow up with. One, I would just worry a little bit about Avonte's availability because he's missed a lot of time in his career. A lot.
Yes.
He's really good, but he misses a lot of time.
Size, man. Size.
And he's not the biggest guy in the world. So, two, you feel confident enough in plugging somebody else into the slot at corner. And the other thing you have to do, Barrett, is if Bradbury goes, you need a starting opposite corner of Slay. So
absolutely,
that's a lot of. I'm with you. Like that sounds like a nice alternative at safety, but man, corner's pretty barren at that point if you're doing those things.
Corner's going to be barren anyways. we need to bring somebody in. In fact, we need to bring a veteran in, and we also need to bring and draft some guys to come in. Yep. So that goes without saying. Somebody's got to start opposite of Slate. Bradbury is not going to be here, period. Mm-hmm. I don't know why we keep thinking, that's a possibility. It's not a possibility. It's really not.
Try to tell people that 2 weeks ago. People ain't listening.
So, something that, interests me a little bit when I was thinking about that stuff was the possibility of bringing back Epps for a much cheaper price. Even though there's some buzz out there about
Epps. He's got some suitors apparently.
Yeah, fitting a lot of people's systems. He does. Mm-hmm. I told people from the beginning, he is a good player. He is a good player. People saw what he was doing, and I said it jokingly, but I said I didn't want him to be the next Poyer. And that may be what he ends up being, because he'll go somewhere else and be a standout star. Mm-hmm. So, why not have him be a standout star here?
Yeah. Listen, I'm with you. Yeah, that's the thing. You're not going to, have to give him crazy Bradbury money, crazy CJGJ money. You'll have to bump him from what he was probably making, close to the league minimum, if not, not much, right? But you can. That's doable. I think he's doable. I think TJ Edwards is doable. I think those guys are doable. It's the upper echelon, your heavy hitter guys that I think are going to be hard to frankly bring back. Just guys, look at the money. Like, for example, Geno Smith, and good for Geno, man. I mean, awesome. Got 3 years, $105 million. He made 3.5 last year.
That's Geno's more money he's made his whole career.
Yeah, he's making 52. He'll make 52 in 2023. 52. So if Geno's getting 52, you know where I'm going with this. What's Jalen going to get?
Exactly.
It'll be hard. It's going to be hard to bring any of these guys back, man. I know people aren't happy about it. I see it in the chat. I get it. You hate losing good players. It hurts. This was a really rare year. And we talked about it a lot during the season. Like, hey, this doesn't happen very often, if ever. And now you're starting to see it may not happen again, period.
Well, Mr. Rudy Poo, it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter. It's what they think. Epps you say he wasn't a difference maker. You'd know if he wasn't there. And that's what a difference maker is. You would know if Marcus Epps was not in the huddle. And that's what you need to it's not – Epps is not a guy that he brings consistency. You were able to have a guy like Reed Blankenship out there playing because you had a Marcus Epps playing beside him. Mm-hmm. Blankenship was able to play at a high level because Epps played at a high level. Reed, it was one, scratch the other guy's back. He was able to do that stuff because Epps made it so he can do that stuff. So it's not necessarily the statistical stuff that you see that make him a good player. A lot of the times, the stuff you don't see that makes him a good player. You know what I'm saying? The plays you didn't see him make that took somebody else made, and it took that out of him because somebody else was making it because of him.
Yeah. Look, I think the natural fear is you're losing playmakers. You're losing Bradbury. You're losing CJGJ. You're losing guys who are playmakers, and that's a fear for people. This is also where, like we talk about, you have younger guys who have to step up for sure, and whoever you get in the draft, and I think it's going to be at least the first 2 picks are going to be defense, probably 3. They're all going to have to step in and play and be good. Like, not just step in and play because you drafted them where you drafted them, but step in and play and be good if you want to maintain something close to that level. Like the other thing is the hard reality. You're not going to be as good defensively, in my opinion.
Exactly. The hard reality is we got good players that are going to be gone. And I hate it. I hope CJGJ is here. I want him here. He is a difference maker. He made things happen. He plays at a high level. And he's bigger than Avonte Maddox. Mm-hmm. He's like 2 inches bigger than Avonte Maddox. Outweighs him by about 10 pounds. He's a more bigger physical presence than Avonte Maddox at the safety position. Mm-hmm. But it's not just us that sees that.
Right.
There's 31 other teams in the league that see what we are seeing. His ability is out there, and that's why it's going to be hard to sign a guy like him. I don't know why they're not going to franchise tag him. I would franchise tag him. Maybe he can't get a deal done. Maybe he doesn't want to be here. Maybe that's the reason why.
It could, yeah. We don't know that he and his agent didn't push back on that, and then it becomes a nightmare. We're not going to be able to re-sign. There's just stuff we're not privy to that you don't know behind the scenes. Yeah, one of the reasons he was unhappy with his contract situation in New Orleans, and that's why he, I mean, let's be real, sort of forced his way out of there. He just did. Yeah, so look, I think it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening here. But
I think so. Right. Rob, you're right, man. I mean, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. He shot that little little text out. So that tweet out. So I think it's kind of obvious he's not going to the Cardinals.
CJGJ did. I didn't. What did he?
Remember when he talked about Gannon?
When he ripped Gannon. Oh, you didn't put us in the position to make plays.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think he's going to the Cardinals. Chat saying he might go to the Cardinals. I don't think he's going.
He's not going to the Cardinals.
Right. That's he kind of messed that up.
I don't see that one happening. Right. That's for sure. The other interesting thing is Denard Wilson has landed a job. It didn't take long, but he was hired as a defensive backs coach with the Ravens, and he's a Maryland guy. He went to the University of Maryland. That's a real nice move by Harbaugh, man. That's a good pickup for them.
Very good pickup.
Baltimore is very good at finding defensive coaches. If you look at their history, from the coordinators to position coaches, they have been very good through the years in identifying a certain type of coach, mindset, mentor, to drop into their defensive scheme. And there was no question Denard Wilson is a good coach. Unfortunately, things unraveled here, but that happens across the board in the National Football League. The fact that Harbaugh and his staff jumped on him real quick tells you what they think of him. And obviously, Baltimore is a team that has some good defensive personnel. So this move might help Denard accelerate, even though he's going as a DB coach, it might help him accelerate the process of becoming a defensive coordinator somewhere, or possibly getting a shot at a head coach. I mean, you look at John Harbaugh's road to success, from special teams to a DB's coach, and boom, next thing you know, he's a head coach in Baltimore, and he's been there for what, 12, 13 years now.
Yeah, right on, Derek. You're right about that. Here's where this sets up to be a little tricky, I think, for Gannon. I think we're all in agreement the defense maybe takes a bit of a step back this year, especially if you're getting beat in the air. They're not necessarily going to look at the fact that you possibly lost CJGJ or Bradbury or whatever. They're going to look at everything, including Denard Wilson not being back as a defensive backs coach. You know what I mean? Like, there hasn't really been any. Yes. It's been a great honeymoon, rightfully so, for Nick Sirianni. But this is where it gets a little sketchy too. If there was a conflict, if Denard Wilson wanted to come back, if Sirianni said, "See ya, there's the door," this is where we get a little tension here. If that happens.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to do a little more coaching. Also, he might have to walk down to that side of the bench and see what's going on, what calls are being called. He didn't have that. He didn't have to do that when Gannon was there. Gannon pretty much tied all that together. But now he's going to, Desai just starting out. They really don't know who Desai is at this point. They interviewed him. Desai doesn't know what he wants to do and wants a call right now. So we'll see. We're saying it's a 3-4. Maybe he does run that hybrid 3-4-4-3 system or 50 system, where he has, Navajo defense where you cover the center and both guards up and have, linebacker-esque type of players on the outside. Maybe they run that, but there's got to be some changes on personnel, number one, and his ability to coach, number two. I mean, I think they're going to have to learn a whole new set of terminology when he comes into the building. Things are going to be called differently. Coaches got to get used to coaches. Desai has to get used to those guys that he's going to be calling plays with. I mean, this is going to be
at least a month into the season.
We need to. We're going to have to. This is not a specialty of any of ours, including me, but we're going to have a little patience with this defense. Like, the offense, to me, should hit the ground running.
Patience?
I know.
Wait a minute. Let me think about that for a second. Rob Ellis and patience.
Words never used in the same sentence.
It's like grease and water. They just don't
I'll take words never used in the same sentence, Alex, for 500. Yeah.
Here's another thing, too. In the aftermath of the Eagles season, a number of defensive players publicly voiced their support for Denard Wilson. How many of those players talked to Wilson? Hey, man, what happened? Do you think Denard talked favorably about what he left behind here and how he felt, that could weigh heavily into players deciding whether or not they want to come back here or not as well. See, you know, there's so many little nuances that could go into this thing. Now, obviously, players say, I want to get paid. Yeah, but you know what? When you lose a whole defensive staff, the first thing I'm thinking is, I got to find out information about the new guy. I got to find out information about this new position coach that I'm going to be coached under.
Yeah, what does it mean for me? What does it
mean for me?
Yeah.
Yes.
The only human nature. That's human. Anybody does that when a new boss takes over. What does this mean for me?
That's like when I had to really sit down and struggle with the fact of in deciding, do I really want to do a show 5 days a week with Rob Ellis and Barrett Brooks? There was an inner struggle. There was a good angel and a bad angel on my shoulder. The struggle was real. Yeah. It took a good week for me to come to the realization that I can make this work with these gentlemen.
We all make mistakes, Derrick. That's all I can tell you.
I hear the regret in your voice.
I know.
Already.
It was just painful to even get through that sentence for you, man. I could just hear you struggling there.
What's that line? The struggle's real.
Right.
Oh man.
No, but you make a point. I mean, it's right. And how are these pieces? It seems like the size system is similar, but we know it's not exactly what it was what Gannon was running. So how are all these other pieces who are still here going to fit into it too? I mean, it's a lot of real questions. Like I was saying, the offense should hit the ground running. There's really not any excuse for the offense not to be just humming out of the chute. We may see the defense have a tough time getting their footing for a little bit. I'm not saying it might not happen by week 3, 4, 5, but out of the chute, it might take a little bit.
Who are we going to replace? Who's going to be the defensive backs coach? Is it McDonald? Is he going to be the defensive backs coach?
DK McDonald was the assistant.
Right.
So we're still waiting to hear, what's going to happen there. I would assume he gets bumped. I would rather, if they feel like he's good, I'd rather keep some continuity because you've had so many changes on that side of the ball.
Absolutely. That side of the ball. But you know what? I'm looking at their bro. They got a lot of coaches in their coaching staff, bro. I mean, this is crazy how many. I'm looking at how many defensive assistants and guys in these titles that they have.
Yeah,
they've got so many coaches, man. So many different titles. It's crazy. Assistants to the assistant coaches. I'm like, what are all these coaches, man? They literally got, let me see, 1, 2, 3. Dude, they got about 20 coaches here, man.
Yeah.
Every team does.
Yeah, that's not unique to them. That's the way it is now.
Go to the Ravens coaching staff. See how many they got. They ain't got half the coaches that the Eagles have.
Okay.
I mean, wow. I mean, I didn't know they had a special teams assistant coach. This is crazy. Yeah. Run game specialist, assistant tight end coach.
And they both survived, huh?
Yeah.
The special teams coach and the assistant. All right. Interesting. Considering the year that they had.
Right.
So there's that. And we mentioned, I don't want to just totally gloss over this, but Geno Smith gets 3 years, $105 million. 52 will count towards 2023 season. And, this is, I don't want to say it's a straight comp because it's not. Jalen's in a completely different situation, but this is really the first brick, added to the wall. We're waiting on Lamar Jackson. There's still no word on that either. Speaking of Baltimore, on what's happening there. But Geno's in place, and we kind of have an idea what that is. We're waiting on Aaron Rodgers, who may end up going to the Jets. He's apparently.
I ain't waiting on him. You waiting on him? I'm not.
Listen, I can't wait till he's gone. Let me tell you about Aaron Rodgers. He's exhausting. I find the guy exhausting. But I hope this doesn't drag on forever. I hope it happens quick. But my point is, there's just a lot of dominoes here when it comes to the quarterback thing, and we just don't know right now. What's going to happen?
2 are gone. 2 down right now. 2 down.
Yeah.
That Carr.
Yeah, Carr. Yep. I mean, that's the other thing. It doesn't seem like, not that Geno was going to the Jets, but with Carr going to the Saints, I don't see the Jets taking a run at any other veterans.
Nope.
Other than Rodgers. Yeah. Which means Mike White could be their quarterback, and he's a free agent, right? So
the only guy we have out there, the only guy he's a free agent right now. Yes, he is a free agent.
Mike White, which means he might, out of desperation, he might get more money than what the Jets want to pay him because that was the only quarterback they had a good measure of success with last season. So he might be your starter by default if the Rodgers things fall through. But then I heard the report. I forgot who it was. Pelissaro, one of those guys, reported yesterday or the day before, I believe it was, that there was a lot of scuttlebutt at the combine that Packers officials are hoping that Aaron Rodgers wants to go elsewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, the thought is they're just tired of sort of begging him to come back every year, even though they ripped up his contract last year and gave him $60 million a year. They're just he's exhausted them, at this point. And here's the other thing: if you're the Packers, yeah, you've been good, but you haven't won a Super Bowl in over 10 years with him.
Right.
Not that it's his fault necessarily, but still, it's like, how much longer can we keep playing this game?
Well, at this point, the best quarterbacks out there right now: Jimmy G, Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz.
Man, this is not a great list.
Sam Darnold, Marcus Mariota. After that, Andy Dalton.
Yeah, that's not great, man.
No,
like, if I'm the Jets, and I do feel like legitimately I'm close.
Well, look how many guys that were Jets that are out there right now.
All right.
There's a lot of guys. Joe Flacco.
Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Mike White.
Come on, man. That's a lot of guys that have been through that locker room that didn't do anything for them in that locker room. So.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is he's still on the roster.
Who's on the roster?
Zach Wilson, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing he's going to be the number 2. Like, I don't – if they go after Rodgers, it's a lock. Mike White's gone. Mike White could be a nice backup somewhere. I don't hate Mike White as a backup.
I don't either.
Well, he's a free agent, so.
Yeah.
You know who's going to get a lot of looks is Jacoby Brissett.
Yes. He would make sense here.
He's probably the best of the lot. When you look at it, I'm looking at all these free agent quarterbacks on over the cap, and Lamar Jackson's on that list. Daniel Jones still on the list. Daniel Jones ain't going anywhere. Mayfield. But when you stack up Jacoby Brissett against Baker Mayfield, Marcus Mariota, Sam Darnold, the only premier free agent is Garoppolo right now sitting out there. He's the only one. Everybody else.
I like Brissett. I think he played well for the Browns in a really tough situation.
Yes.
Watson took over.
Yes.
Bro, I'm just trying to think about what the heck are the Ravens doing?
Dude, they're playing a really bizarre game. It's been going on forever, and I don't know how much of this is just it's a challenge because Lamar doesn't have a real agent. I don't know, but man, this is going on. I've been telling you guys, it's going on way too long.
Yep. This
is going to be. I don't know. They got 3.5 hours here to figure this thing out with the tag. If not, at what point, if you're Lamar, like, who would be a suitor for him?
Panthers.
Panthers would make sense.
Yep.
Tampa Bay.
Bay would make sense.
Mm-hmm. It would not make sense
to the Colts.
It would not make sense for Houston. Houston wants to build from the ground up.
Yeah. They're drafting a guy. They're drafting.
Plus they're so high. Yeah, that would not make sense for them to put that kind of money into a quarterback right now. You want to get a quarterback on a rookie-friendly deal, let him grow with the new direction they're going in.
Yeah. I like Tampa, Carolina. Those are
PDB. You're right. Ravens don't want to end up like Dallas overpaying a quarterback. That's exactly what they're doing right now.
And I can't. Yeah, you can't tell me there isn't some fear factor that because of the way that Lamar plays that he's going to be able to hold up if they're giving him all this insane guaranteed money. That's the other problem. Like, the sticking point with a lot of this is the guaranteed money.
Yes,
I guarantee. They're afraid of it.
Would Miami be interested in Lamar?
I would believe so.
I'd have to look. What kind of cap shape are they in? I don't know. I'm asking.
Let's see here. Right now,
they spent a lot, man. Like Tyreek, and they spent a good amount last year.
Good amount. They went out and got Chubb from Denver.
Yeah, I would guess they're pretty tight.
Yeah.
Just not looking and not having looked at it. I'm just top of my head.
Right now, the Dolphins are. I'm looking in the red first. So the Dolphins are almost 18 million underwater in the cap.
Yeah, and Lamar's from that area, but I don't know that they can pull it off financially. I don't know. But anyway,
Atlanta. Yeah, they did say Atlanta. You guys said Atlanta, right?
Possibly. I mean, they just drafted Desmond Ridder. What was he, second round?
Mm-hmm.
And
they claim they like him. They like Desmond.
That's how we'd find out how much they really liked him if that was the case. If Lamar became available. All right, let's get a timeout. We'll dig into this a little bit more at 1 o'clock with the Eagles discussion too, and talk about some of the continuity issues potentially on the defensive side of the ball, and if they franchise tag anybody or not. We'll get into all that when we come back. Alex Coffey's going to join us from the Philadelphia Inquirer. There's a little bit of an update, guys, on Andrew Painter and his elbow situation, which we'll share when we come back with Alex. So don't go anywhere. Derrick Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network on this Tuesday. All right, let's tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. Look, knowing who to trust with your finances, it can be really hard. And you work too hard not to have the right person to entrust that financial commitment to. And that's Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group for me. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, you might have a small business, you're trying to figure out your employee benefits. That's another resource that Jim can help you with. Personally, I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers with Jim. I could be any happier. The other thing I love is if I have a question about anything, he is available all the time to answer it. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751, or you could email him as well, Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.